Welcome back to the channel, fight fans. We're diving straight into one of the most persistent, heated, and financially massive topics in the world of boxing. It is the rumor that just will not die, the conversation that keeps popping up in every gym and on every forum, from Las Vegas to Manila. We are talking, of course, about the potential rematch between two of the greatest to ever lace up a pair of gloves, Floyd "Money" Mayweather and Manny "Pac-Man" Pacquiao. Just when you think the book is closed on this rivalry, a new chapter seems to open up. And today, we have a very specific and quite frankly surprising take from a true legend of the sport that changes the entire complexion of this debate. For years, the narrative has been set in stone. Floyd Mayweather is the invincible tactician, the man who figured out the puzzle, while Manny Pacquiao was the valiant warrior who just couldn't crack the May-Vinci code. But recent events, specifically Manny's shock return to the championship level, have flipped the script. And now, James "Lights Out" Toney, a Hall of Famer and a man who is never afraid to hurt someone's feelings with the truth, has weighed in. His prediction for a potential Part 2 is not what the casual fans might expect, and it is definitely not what the money team wants to hear. Before we get to James Toney's explosive comments, we have to look at the reality of where these two icons stand right now, because the landscape has shifted dramatically since they first touched gloves. We all remember 2015. It was billed as the fight of the century. The hype was astronomical. The world stopped to watch. And in the end, it was a masterclass in distance control and timing from Mayweather. He walked away with a clear, unanimous decision, retaining his WBC and WBA welterweight titles. It was a technical victory that solidified his brilliance, even if it didn't provide the fireworks some fans were hoping for. After that night, Floyd Mayweather continued to craft his perfect legacy. He went on to defeat Andre Berto, and then, in a spectacle that crossed over into mainstream pop culture, he stopped Conor McGregor to reach that magical 50-0 number. Since then, Floyd has been very clear about his status. He is retired. He is a businessman. When he steps into the ring now, it is for exhibitions. He fights for entertainment, moves around with YouTubers or MMA fighters, barely breaks a sweat, and collects a massive check. He has not been in a professional, sanctioned fight where his record is on the line since 2017. That is a long time to be away from the fire. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum, you have Manny Pacquiao. The Filipino legend refused to go quietly into the night. After the loss to Floyd, he didn't pack it in. He continued to fight legitimate killers at the world level. He beat Keith Thurman. He stayed active. Even when he lost his WBA title to Yordan Ugas in 2021, he went out on his shield. But the story didn't end there, and this is the crucial part of the puzzle that has everyone talking again. Fast forward to July 2025. After a layoff of nearly 4 years, if you don't count the exhibition circuit, Pacquiao did the unthinkable. At age 46, he didn't come back for a soft touch. He didn't come back for a glorified sparring session. He stepped right back into the lion's den to challenge the WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios. This was a massive risk. Barrios is younger, hungry, and a legitimate champion. The result of that fight sent shockwaves through the sport. It was ruled a draw. But if you ask the fans, if you ask the analysts, and if you look at the social media reaction, the vast majority believe the old lion had done enough. The consensus was that Pacquiao, despite his age, had outworked and outfought the champion. He showed that even in his late 40s, he still possessed the speed and the engine to compete at the elite level. That performance against Barrios didn't just prove he could still fight, it reinvigorated the demand for a rematch with Floyd Mayweather. Suddenly, the conversation isn't about two old men fighting for a paycheck. It is about Manny Pacquiao, who is clearly still in fighting shape, wanting to run it back with a Floyd Mayweather who hasn't taken a real punch in almost nearly a decade. Pacquiao has been vocal. He wants the rematch. He knows it's the biggest financial fight out there. But more importantly, he seems to believe he can win this time. And he's not the only one. This brings us to James Toney. If you know boxing, you know Toney. He is one of the most skilled, toughest, and defensively sound fighters in history. He has seen it all, from middleweight to heavyweight. He is also known for having zero filter. When James Toney speaks, he isn't trying to be polite, he is telling you exactly what he sees. In a recent interview with ES News, Toney was asked about the possibility of Mayweather versus Pacquiao too. Now, Toney isn't exactly jumping up and down with excitement about the idea of two legends in their late 40s and early 50s fighting. He's a purist, and he generally prefers to see the young guns go at it. However, when pressed for a prediction, he didn't hesitate. He didn't ride the fence. Toney's assessment boils down to one simple, undeniable fact: activity versus inactivity. We often hear that power is the last thing to go, but in boxing, timing and rhythm are usually the first things to leave you when you step away. James Toney looks at Floyd Mayweather and sees a man who has been enjoying the fruits of his labor. He sees a man who hasn't been in the trenches. He hasn't had to bite down on his mouthpiece and dig deep in over 10 years. On the flip side, Toney looks at Pacquiao and sees a phenomenon of nature. He sees a guy who just went 12 hard rounds with Mario Barrios and arguably won. That kind of recent experience is invaluable. You cannot simulate the pressure of a real title fight in the gym. You can spar all you want, you can hit the bag, you can look good on Instagram, but standing under those bright lights against a guy trying to take your head off is a different animal. Manny has felt that recently. Floyd has not. Speaking to the reporter, Toney's reaction was almost one of disbelief that the question even needed to be asked. He said, "Are you serious? I'm gonna say Manny Pacquiao." That's a direct quote. He is picking the Pac-Man, and his reasoning was razor sharp. He pointed out that Pacquiao still has the movement. That is the key word here: movement. For those who analyzed the first fight in 2015, Pacquiao's movement was compromised. There were discussions about shoulder injuries, about him not being able to cut off the ring, about Floyd neutralizing his angles. But in 2025, watching Pacquiao against Barrios, the footwork was still there. The bounce was still there. He was darting in and out, creating angles and throwing combinations. James Toney, a master of ring craft himself, recognizes that. He knows that legs are the engine of a fighter, and if Manny still has his legs, he is a dangerous problem for anyone, let alone a semi-retired Floyd. Toney added another layer to his prediction, stating, "I haven't seen Floyd in like 10 years. Now, obviously, Toney has seen Floyd on TV or at events, but he means he hasn't seen the fighter, Floyd Mayweather. He hasn't seen the version of Floyd that dissects world champions. He has seen the entertainer. He has seen the exhibitionist." Toney is questioning whether that elite-level competitive instinct can just be turned back on like a light switch after such a long dormancy. This is a fascinating perspective because it challenges the aura of invincibility that surrounds Mayweather. We are so used to betting on Floyd because he never loses. He is the smart bet. He is the safe bet. But Toney is suggesting that father time and inactivity are the great equalizers. If they were to step into the ring now, it wouldn't be the 2015 versions of themselves. It would be a 40-something Pacquiao who has been active and sharp against a 40-something pushing 50 Mayweather who has been living the good life. There is a famous saying in boxing that you don't play boxing. It is a dangerous sport, and the reflexes required to use the Philly shell defense that Floyd perfected rely on split-second reactions. Toney seems to be implying that those reactions might not be what they were. If Floyd is even a fraction of a second slower, Manny's volume and speed could overwhelm him. In the first fight, Floyd could see the punches coming and slip them. Toney is betting that after 10 years on the sidelines, Floyd might see them, but his body might not react fast enough to avoid them. It is also worth noting that the psychological dynamic is shifted. In 2015, Floyd had everything to lose. He had the zero to protect. The pressure was immense. Now, in a potential rematch, the pressure is different. But for Manny, this is about redemption. He feels he was robbed of a true opportunity to beat Floyd when he was healthy. That hunger, that desire to correct the history books is a powerful motivator. We saw that hunger in the Barrios fight. Manny fought like a man possessed, not like a legend on a farewell tour. When a Hall of Famer like James Toney, someone who understands the nuances of defensive fighting better than almost anyone else, says that Manny's movement is the deciding factor, we have to take notice. Toney isn't swayed by the flash or the money. He looks at the mechanics.